The we talked about last episode. The All-Star starters were announced, and how I didn't think that there were any snubs of the starters outside of Jalen Brunson. I thought that Jalen Brunson was good enough to be a starter, and the conversation at hand last episode was essentially, if you're going to say someone is snubbed, that means that you have to be willing to take somebody out. And who would you have been willing to take out? That is always a conversation that a lot of people forget and a lot of people don't understand. So, for someone to be snubbed, you have to have the confidence to take somebody out that possibly could be deserving, you know? So, and that's why last episode, which I think that he deserves to be an all-star, I just didn't think that Damian Lillard played good enough this season to be a all-star starter. All-star, yes. All-star starter, no. But I will say that Thursday, the All-Star Reserves were announced. Now, these obviously are the players that are coming off the bench in the reserves. So for the Western Conference, you had Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Karl Anthony Towns. For the Eastern Conference, you had Bam Adebayo, Pablo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, and Julius Randle. Now, I will say it again. I'm hearing with the announcement, I'm hearing, oh, so and so was snubbed, so and so was snubbed, so and so was snubbed. Okay. And I'm fine with people feeling how they feel. I'm going to extend the conversation and talk about some of the people I felt was snubbed. But in turn, you then have to be confident enough to say, okay, well, if they were going to make it, who shouldn't have made it? You know, I'm going to go and jump off that hill, and I'm going to say some of the people that I feel was snubbed, and I feel I'm not going to say didn't deserve to make it, but we'll talk about it. Let me first actually say congratulations to all the All-Stars. I'm not mad at either list. I'm not. If everyone was going to be able to play, obviously we just talked about Joel Embiid, who's an all-star starter. He's more than likely not going to be able to play. Julius Randle, I know he had a dislocated shoulder. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. So obviously there are players that are on this list that probably won't be able to play, especially when we talk about the Eastern Conference. So that's going to leave room possibly for a player that didn't make it to be a alternate, which at the end of the day, people is like, well, you're an alternate. It is what it is. Yeah, when you look my name up, it still says All-Star. It doesn't say All-Star alternate. It says Jalen Hunter All-Star, So because of that, there are a couple players that I do think was snubbed. Now, I will also say that I am not mad at this list. I'm not mad at anyone that made. I think that every single person was deserving of this of an all-star nod. I mean, a lot of the chatter on social media was Paolo Banchero and Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns has a 2-point game, and Karl Anthony Towns is incredibly skilled, and I'm not upset that he made it. I will say this though. It kind of Now, if there was a player in the Western Conference that I feel was snubbed, it is somebody on the Kings. I think it's crazy how the Kings are one of the best teams in the West, but they don't have one representative, whether that's De'Aaron Fox, whether that's Sabonis. I do think that at least one of them should have been considered for the All-Star. And if there was someone to be taken off, I'm laughing because if you know me, you know how fond I am of Paul George. And I don't mean, I mean that Paul George is an incredible basketball player. I wouldn't be upset if Paul George was replaced by, let's say, Sabonis or replaced by De'Aaron Fox. I wouldn't be upset if Karl Anthony Towns was replaced by De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis, seeing as though you already have the best player on the Timberwolves as a all-star, and that is Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards definitely deserves to be an all-star. And again, Paul George deserves to be an all-star, seeing as how important he is to the Clippers. Him and Kawhi Leonard, both of them are all-stars. But I do think that, at least in the West, you have to have a king representing seeing as though the Kings are one of the best teams. In fact, when we look at the standings, give me a second. When we look at the standings, the Kings are 5th in the West. You can kind of argue if Jamal Murray from the Denver Nuggets should have been an all-star, but that's a name that I can't see anyone coming off this list for Jamal Murray. He's had an up and down season. Now, yes, the Nuggets have had a good season, but him in general has been up and down. But again, the only two snubs, I think, like legit snubs, that were on the Western Conference side is obviously Paul George and Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm not really upset with that. I get it. I get it. Now, I would not take Paul George and Karl Anthony Towns off for Jamal Murray. But, hey, I wouldn't be upset. For the East, I only see one snub. Look. And honestly, unfortunately, as it is, because I don't wish injury on anyone, it looks like that there is a possible opening for somebody, seeing as though Joel Embiid is hurt. But Trae Young, in my opinion, I understand that the Hawks aren't playing too well this year, but I think Trae Young has to be Trae Young is one of the better point guards in the Eastern Conference. I do think that if there was anyone that has to be put on this list as an alternate, seeing as though there looks like there will be one, it should be Trae Young. Trae Young has been, even though the Atlanta Hawks have been inconsistent this year, Trae Young has been very consistent. So I understand. I understand why he wasn't put, because a lot of people that say Paolo Banchero shouldn't have been on obviously hasn't watched Magic games. I know that they were really hot to start the season and they've cooled off tremendously, but Paolo Banchero has still been incredible. So I'm not upset that Paolo's on it. I think Jaylen Brown definitely deserves to be on it. I think Jaylen, again, I argued about Jalen Brunson being a starter. So I'm glad that he was at least a reserve. Tyrese Maxey, he's been incredible this year and definitely deserves to be one. Donovan Mitchell has been consistent as well. I'm not upset about it. And I do think that, again, as unfortunate as it is, I don't wish injury upon anyone. Seeing though Joel Embiid probably won't be in the All-Star game, that means one of the starters are going to get moved to, or one of the reserves are going to get moved to the starters. Even though it's going to be a small lineup, I'm kind of hoping. I don't know how they do that, because I would like Jalen Brunson to be a starter, but that's going to be Giannis, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum. That's a small lineup. I don't know. But if we talk about snubs in the Western Conference, I have either De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis. One of them, at least, I would hope represents. But I'm not mad at anyone that made it. And for the East, I would say Trae Young, but and as unfortunate as it is, Trae Young might be an alternate, seeing as though I don't think Joel Embiid will play. So we'll see. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.